When you scroll through endless listings for a high-capacity NAS, the first thing you notice is the glossy photo of a sleek, 12-bay chassis that looks like it belongs in a server room. The description promises diskless, ultra-fast NVMe and a price tag that makes you wonder whether you're getting a bargain or overpaying for a marketing gimmick. I've been there ordering a piece of hardware that looks perfect on paper, only to find after a week of real use that it isn't really any faster, or that the extra bays are more hassle than help. That's why today's review is all about keeping you from that kind of disappointment. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about what the Asustor FLASHSTOR 12 Pro actually does. It's a 12-bay desktop NAS that deliberately ships without any internal storage. Instead, it relies on PCIe NVMe SSDs you install yourself, which means you can create a massive, high-throughput storage pool without ever having to buy the drives from the manufacturer. That design decision is both its biggest strength and its biggest source of confusion for many buyers. If you're a small to medium business that needs a centralized file server for a team of 10 to 20 people, and you already have an inventory of NVMe drives or you're prepared to invest in them, this unit can be a very compelling fit. The NVMe slots give you the ability to build a RAID array that runs at several gigabits per second, which is perfect for handling large media files, 4K video editing workflows, or rapid backup of workstations. In practice, I set up a 6-drive RAID 5 configuration with 2 TB NVMe drives, and the copy speeds for multi-gigabyte video projects consistently hit 1.5 GB per second on my 10 GBE network. That's the kind of performance you need when you're moving raw footage between editors without burning the entire day on transfers. On the other hand, if you're a home user who just wants a simple place to store photos, movies, and a few personal backups, the FLASHSTOR 12 Pro is probably overkill. The lack of pre-installed drives means you have to budget for the SSDs separately, and the higher-end NVMe part numbers can easily double or triple the cost of a traditional 3.5-inch HDD NAS. For a family of 3 who only needs a couple of terabytes of storage, a more conventional NAS like the Synology DS720 Plus or a budget QNAP model will give you plenty of capacity for a fraction of the upfront price. One practical strength of the FLASHSTOR 12 Pro is its diskless approach, which gives you complete control over the storage media. Because you pick the SSDs yourself, you can match the drive's endurance to the workload. For example, in a surveillance setup where the drives are constantly writing footage, you can choose high-DBW Enterprise NVMe drives, while for an archival backup you might opt for lower-cost consumer models. That flexibility is a dream for IT folks who need to balance performance, endurance, and cost on a per-project basis. Another advantage is the physical size. Although it's a 12-bay unit, the chassis is surprisingly compact for what it holds. The design uses a vertical rack layout, allowing you to fit it on a standard office desk without blocking adjacent space. The front panel has a removable cover, and each bay is hot swap compatible, so you can replace drives without powering down the whole system. I swapped out a faulty NVMe drive in the middle of a backup job, and the array resynced without any data loss, something you don't see with many consumer-grade NAS devices. Where the product shows a hidden trade-off is in the networking side. The box ships with a single 2.5 GBE Ethernet port. That's faster than the typical 1 GBE you find on cheaper units, but it also means you need a compatible switch or router to really take advantage of it. In my test environment, the switch was limited to 1 GBE on most ports, so the NAS effectively capped out at the lower speed. If you already have a 10 GBE backbone in your office, you'll need to buy a separate 10 GBE NIC and install it in the available PCIe slot, which adds another cost and a bit of configuration work. Thermal management is another nuance. NVMe drives run hot, especially under sustained write loads. The FLASHSTOR 12 Pro includes 3 built-in fans that kick in automatically when the drive temperature passes a threshold. In a 6-drive RAID 5 array, the fans were audible but not intrusive. They kept the SSDs around 55 C under load, which is within safe operating limits. However, if you push the unit to 8 or more drives and run constant heavy workloads, the fans will run continuously, raising the overall noise level. If you plan to place the device in a quiet office or a home studio, you might want to think about the acoustic impact. Software-wise, Asustor's ADM, App Central, is fairly robust. It offers the typical suite file sharing, cloud sync, surveillance, and Docker container support. Because the hardware is essentially a high-performance server, you can run additional services like a self-hosted Plex media server directly on the NAS. In